Hey everyone, I am Ultraviolent4 and you are joining me for some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. If you are just joining me, the whole idea is that I'm going to try to streak my games. So I'm currently on a 3-game win streak and this will be number 4. If you've been waiting a month for me to get back, thank you for your patience. I'm back in the country now. It was a good holiday and ready for some more crawl. So you'll notice that I'm already in the game, and the reason for that is that I booted it up and then realized that I was recording the wrong window. So I had a couple of minutes of me talking but showing my email inbox. But luckily I noticed before I actually started playing, so you haven't missed anything. Okay, so in my previous games so far, I've been asking people for suggestions on what combos to play. This one, Spriggan Enchanter, is by far the most requested one. I've had a whole bunch of different people all ask me to play a Spriggan Enchanter. So I thought I'd better give the people what they want, and we've rolled a Spriggan Enchanter. So what is a Spriggan? In fact, what's an Enchanter? We'll do a Spriggan first. So here are our innate abilities. We are very small and have some problems with larger weapons. The weapon thing, meh. You'll notice though, on the top right up here, that we have 18 EV right off the bat, which is a lot. So this doesn't say it, but you get 2 bonuses from being very small. One is that you get a bonus to your dodging ability, and the other is that you get a bonus to stealth. We're too small for most types of armor. I guess that's one of the downsides. So we can't wear helmets, gloves, etc. We also, being small, we have larger shield penalties, but that's neither here nor there. We have natural see and vis, which is handy. We are a herbivore, so we don't get to eat any meat chunks from corpses, but on the bottom here, you need consume almost no food. So Spriggans don't need to eat as often, and as long as you're not casting really high level spells, that's not really much of an issue. This one here is maybe the most important thing about a Spriggan, and that's that they cover ground extremely quickly. So Spriggans are by far the fastest player species, with not too many exceptions in the game. You are faster than most monsters that you'll find. So you pretty much always have the ability to run away from fights. And then we are an Enchanter. So this was easier to explain when I could actually show it, but there's another background called Assassin, and Enchanter plays probably more like what you'd imagine when you hear the name Assassin. So the idea of playing a stealthy character who runs around and stabs people is a pretty cool one, I think. It seems to appeal to a lot of people, but when you're new, you won't yet have realized that that is not the assassin class. So you'll pick that and then it's not really what you are after. That's because you want it to be an enchanter. So an enchanter starts off with a book of maledictions, and in it are a bunch of spells here that are related to hexes. So hexes immobilize or confuse your enemies, and when an enemy is one of those things, or if they're still asleep because they haven't woken up, that is, you snuck up on them with your stealth, you get the chance to stab them. The most stab damage is done with a dagger, short blades generally, but daggers most of all, and it does a whole lot of damage. So what we can do is we can try to sneak up on things, If we can stab it, great, we'll probably kill it. If we can't, then we're going to try to hex it. And if we say it starts going bad, maybe we take some damage, maybe we use all our mana, try and hex whatever it is, and it doesn't work, we should, for most of the game, have the ability to then use our speed to run away. Okay. I think that's probably most I wanted to say. So let's go. We can also just do a check here to be like, has he been playing off secretly and just not telling us? So that's my best streak ever, 15. But here, so I've won my last 3 games. Hooray! So I haven't been cheating, is what I'm trying to say. This is game 4. So the spell that we start off with is called Corona, which is, unfortunately, I mean, it has some uses, but it's probably one of the worst spells in the game. What it does is you put a glowing light around an enemy, which basically makes it so that your attacks have a lower chance of missing. It's pretty weak. Once we get to level 2, so that we can learn, at level 2 we get Ensorcelled Hibernation. Once we get that, and we get the ability to hex things, we'll be much stronger. So we're just gonna, there's a downstairs straight away, which is handy. So we're just gonna take it a bit more slowly while we're level 1, and then once we get level 2, we'll be feeling a lot more comfortable. Okay, that bat was surprisingly difficult. Okay, the Hobgoblin, this one hasn't seen us, and actually I haven't skilled, so obviously forgetting how to play Crawl. So this Hobgoblin hasn't seen us yet. Rather than try to walk at him and stab him, I'm going to go the other way for now, because he's the second enemy that we found, and he's got a weapon, so he can do quite a bit more damage. He could, I think, could one-shot us. I think he could do 9 damage max, but certainly if not 9, then definitely 8. And while we are fast, but we haven't found any pillars that allow us to run around. So if that went bad, we could run away and then we get cornered. Or say we ran down, then we might get stuck between him and a new enemy we find. So I'd rather just try to get level 2 and then worry about stuff like that. Okay, what you should always do when you play Crawl, is because I think I started talking about it and then that's when I realized I wasn't recording. So your skill menu is on M. You should know that by now. If you don't, please go back and watch video 1, because that's a tutorial where we discuss, well, I teach many more basic concepts. Okay, so we don't want short blades for now. And actually, just as a general point, a Spriggan is a very entertaining race, and so I'm actually not that surprised that so many people requested it. And one of the reasons for that is because they're really specialized. So you can see here, for the melee skills, they're pretty crappy except for they're alright at range stuff, slings and bows. Short blades is their only melee weapon that they're good at. And then everything else is kind of all over the shop. So really bad at armor, but very good at dodging, bad at shields, and then they're magic. So -3 conjurations, but +2 on hexes, +4 charms. So it's a really fun species to play. And this one here, +5 stealth. That's part of why they're so good. So what are we going to train? I probably train more skills than some people would want to. I'm going to leave dodging on because it's +4. The value is so high. I cannot turn it off. We're going to turn off spellcasting for now. I'm going to focus hexes because the strength of our hexes is extremely important. Basically, if we can stab something, we'll kill it. So it's not quite so bad for a Spriggan because you always have the ability to run away. But for a slower hexer, you live or die on whether or not you hex things. So your hexes are, especially at the start, extremely important. And also I'm going to focus stealth, because any monster you don't have to fight is also a free kill, and +5 is so good. Okay, good. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. And then let's see if I can actually remember how this game works. That's another, say I'd run away from that dude and I'd gone up here and we ended up in a corner. Could have died there. Scroll, another bat. Okay. So I'm just using ZA to cast Corona on it. Okay, good. And the reason I wasn't chasing it out into the hallway there is because I didn't want to reveal any other monsters. Kobold with a short sword of Holy Wrath. For similar reasons to the Hobgoblin, I'm going to leave this Kobold alone for now. Again, I still haven't found a pillar, so if I was running away, I'd still be... I mean, well actually that's not true, that Kobold is on a pillar. All the same, let's just go the other way. That Holy Rash short sword could be enchanted, so you could do significant damage with that. That's taking us back to the Hobgoblin. I'll see if I can sneak around bottom there. No, I'll see if I can go underneath this Kobold and get past it. Alright, he didn't see us. This is just free kill. So you see here, the helpless Kobold fails to defend itself, and we did a whole bunch of damage. Basically, for any normal monsters, if we stab it, we're going to kill it, pretty much. For some uniques, maybe some tankier monsters later, won't be the case. How much damage you do when stabbing, it used to be a stabbing skill, no more. It factors in your stealth skill and your short blade skill. And also worth mentioning, because we're not training our fighting, which on most characters you train the weapon that they're fighting with, because we don't really care about min delay. Like, we're not actually going to be using our dagger to one-on-one fight things. We just want to stab them, in which case, for the moment, we don't really care. We'll train some later, because as I just said, your stabbing damage takes into account. But for the moment, no need for short blades. Bats. Okay, whole bunch of bats. And that Hobgoblin see me. Okay. He's throwing stones. I still don't have a nice pillar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run away from him. And you see, with our speed, we just completely just fly away. And then because we have fairly good stealth, he's likely then to just forget us. Alright. Well, there's a pillar, another one. Okay, so I feel a bit more comfortable fighting that guy now, but we'll go up all the same. More bats, fairly free XP. That's back to the Kobold. We'll ignore him for now. Once we get to level 2, that's pretty much a free kill. And pretty much for short sword, that's fine. For most enemies, in the early game, oh god, in Soul Sword Hibernation will fairly comfortably kill them. Alright, level 2, good. So we're going to memorize in Soul Sword. I'm going to, using equals and then S, I'm going to change the spell from B to X. And then I'm also going to create a macro for that. So it's the tilde button, which is it's shift and the one after escape. And I hit M for macro. For the input key, I'm going to do that same one. Normally, if you don't put a macro on that key, that's a repeat previous action key, but I don't use that because I'm weird. It's because initially I didn't know that that was a key. And because I was used to using this button in a previous game, I like putting my macros there. So this macro, we're going to do Z, X, and dot. The reason that we're doing a dot is because in a macro, dot either works as enter or it works as a pause, like it does normally when you press dot. The reason I'm doing that is because Ensorcelled is a targeted spell. So the ZX will bring up use the spell and it will automatically target the nearest monster, and then the dot will say use it. So if I just want to hex, try to hex the nearest one, that's the one I want. Don't just put dots in all your macros just because you're lazy and you think I don't know if it's targeted or not, so just make them all targeted, because as I just said, a dot means wait a turn. So if you put dot on a spell that doesn't need it, every time you use your macro, you waste a turn, and enemies will potentially hit you. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like if I just press ZX. When you do that and you go to use a hex, the game will show you your chance of affecting them. So what Ensorcelled would do, let's read its description. Lowers its target's metabolic rate, inducing hibernation. Okay, so I believe the idea here is that you're basically freezing the creature's blood. So it will go to sleep. When it sleeps, it will go to sleep for a few turns, not too long, and then you can try to stab it. If you wait too long, or you don't, I don't know, say you were busy fighting something else in the meantime, once it wakes up, you can't use it again for a while. So you want to be relatively close. I wouldn't use it from here, because then I'd need 1, 2, 3 moves to then get to him, and then another move to stab him, in which time he's very likely to wake up. Because I'm faster than him, I can let him get close, and when he's here, I can try this one, or just my macro. And okay, well, we miscast it. So now, because I'm fast, I can move away and we can try again. I don't have to stand next to him trying to cast it while he hits me. Okay, we've got him. So now we can stab him. And that's pretty much how this character works for quite a lot of the game, actually. There are some things that you can't use Ensorcelled on. So anything with cold resistance, presumably you can't freeze their blood. Undead things, skeletons, zombies, etc., you also can't. For them, we want to use Confuse. Plague Ghosts as well, can't hibernate them. So Confuse, anything that can't be hibernated. And then anything that has a really high MR, use Dazzling Spray. Dazzling Spray is kind of an interesting spell. So what it does is, rather than check the magic resistance of the target you're hitting with, you get a chance to blind them, which is based on the hit dice of the monster, which is a kind of arcane concept that I'm not really going to explain. But basically, the stronger an enemy is, the higher its hit dice. So it won't work very well on really scary monsters. Man, he just lost me. That's too stealthy. Like, say, Ancient Liches or something. But on things with high MR, such as Death Yaks in Lair, Dazzling Spray is really good. We can wear a cloak. And then, now that we're level 2 and a Spriggan, so really fast, I have no qualms about exploring with my auto explore button. while I was level 1 I didn't really want to, but now I know that if we see anything too scary, we can put it to sleep. And if something goes wrong like that, where we just got hit, we can just run away and reset the fight. Everything in the early dungeon has pretty bad MR. Whoops, I just gave it an extra hit. So even these oozes have a bit higher than normal, they're 40%. No, and we're never lucky, and that's really bad. So we've just been cornered. Let's start. Okay, never mind, we just killed that one. Okay, that could have been really ugly. And we'll just run away. I'm not sure how exactly that happened. And again. Alright. Alright, there we go. Okay. It's actually, you kind of can. So, okay, so go to free stab. I'm going to grab that Sword of Holy Wrath. I'm not going to try it on yet because it could be cursed. We just got 2 of a scroll though, so I'm going to check that out because there's a good chance it's ID, which it is. Okay, so we're going to do our potions. Magic and resistance. Okay, not so bad. Stealth to level 5. Right, so I think I was trying to say that if you really have to fight toe to toe with something, it's not the worst because you have so much EV as a Spriggan, but you'd really rather not because you also have barely any HP. Okay, that guy was apparently unhexable. What's the 58% chance? Yeah, we got him that time. Level 3. Go int. Generally speaking, for a spellcast you want int, but that's especially true for a hexer. Because as I was saying before, we don't live or die, but whether your spells succeed or not in hexing your target is pretty much whether you kill them or not. So having every bit of int helps with your spell powers. We're going to go confuse. Okay, I'm going to use equals S to put it on C. I'm going to make a macro on my 1 key. Oops. That one. My 1 key to confuse with dot because again targeted. Cool. And then I've got 1 spell level left now. So we don't need Dazzling Spray for a little bit yet. But when we've got some more spell levels later, we'll go Dazzling Spray. And it looks like we probably survived D1. Yeah, okay, we have. Alright, so I'm hungry. As we said at the start of the game, you can't butcher corpses. You started with a bread ration, and you can eat other fruits, other bread rations. Don't know about pizza. There's Hep. Hep is not a god that I'd want on a Spriggan Enchanter. Having minus 10% HP when you already have such low HP doesn't sound too enticing to me. Okay. Apparently we couldn't hex this guy either. So we just fought him straight up. What the odds? 59. We were just unlucky. And this guy, 50. So Worm has slightly more MR, but again we're never lucky. Yep, never lucky. I'm just going to retreat a bit to get some MR back. We got it. Okay. That's fine. Basically, on a Spriggan, there's no point waiting to eat, usually, because it's not like... And he's starving. It's not like you're ever going to get food from corpses. So you generally just eat. Although it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable that we just have to eat our bread ration and we haven't found any other food. So I don't like that. There's a bunch of dudes here. So let's hope we find some food. Otherwise that could be an interesting way to die. Starve to death. There's Oka. It's a D2. That's still not... I mean, we could, but that's not... It's not really what I had in mind. So... I think we'll say no to that one. If I did that, I feel like all you people asking me to show you Spriggan Enchanter would feel kind of sad, because I'd then probably start switching into a melee build. And maybe, probably would run around with a sling or something. Have we seen a sling, by the way? Just bullets. So, no. So no, I won't do Oka. Or Oka. Okawaru. This is... it looks like it's another thing. So adders. I think in my last... Yeah, the last 2 games I've been lethally poisoned by the first adder I found. But in this case, we're faster than an adder. So we're not afraid. Also, we have a 50% chance to hex it. Right, never mind, we're always lucky. Is this an altar? Gozag. I mean, that works. Gozag could work. It's a D2 Gozag. I feel like a faded altar of an unknown god. We're not going to do that. Wonder paralysis is good. Well, I mean, it's basically what our spell does, what our hexes do, but if we ever run out of mana, it just means that we can keep hexing things. Okay, so we've had a whole bunch of altars on D2. That's kind of making me think this might be a corrupted temple. So in every game there's a chance that your temple can be corrupted by one of the gods that usually isn't your temple. So that's Jivia or Lugano. Normally we'd go paralysis, but I'm gonna go potion. Okay. Because the paralysis just does basically what we can do on our own anyway. So it's a nice backup, but we don't need it as desperately as most other characters would want to have it. Okay. That dude was actually some sort of hero cockroach. And so is this guy. There we go. Alright. I think that's his floor done. I could go Gozag. I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to go Death is the god that I would pick. And that's partly because I want to prove a point. But also, so in my last game, the Vinestalker, when I saw McLeod on D2, I just took it. And part of that is because that combo is so weak that having a god makes you so much stronger. But as a Spriggan Enchanter, I'm pretty strong at the moment, so I'm not desperately after a god. I can wait a bit. I'd say it's probably technically correct to pick Gozag here, but I'm not going to. So yeah. So we're going to try to find death. Maybe if the temple never comes, then I'll go back up and take Gozag. And we still haven't found any food, which is making me a little frightened. In that case, I'm not going to hex. Okay, and I'm going to turn some spellcasting on. Even just temporarily. Okay, I'm going to turn dodging off, and I'm going to focus spellcasting. This is not something I've never done this before, but I just feel like I don't want to starve. So if you didn't know, if you hit Shift I and then exclamation mark, it will show you the hunger of your spells. So you can see in Source Sword is 2 pips. It's not super hungry, but because we're using it sometimes a few times on every enemy, it's going to stack up a bit. Spellcasting, as well as having more int, both lower your spell hungers. So that's why I'm going to do some spellcasting. I'm going to get on this up step, and I'm going to read this 2. If it's a teleportation, I'm going to want to go up. Noise. Okay. Alright. Well, that's okay. Because we're fast, so anything that came, we could just run from it. So it's alright. Hey, okay, another bread ration. Okay, well now I'm not bothered. I'm going to turn spellcasting off. I'll put it on, but I won't focus it. And I'll put these back on. So if we do our cost, that's not too bad. I mean, we're training a bunch of things, but I want stealth. Okay, that's a bit uglier, but whatever, I'm happy. That's a bunch of things. Again, we can just run. Okay. I've accidentally put myself down a corridor that we hadn't explored, which is really bad of me. Because say Sigmund is in this corridor, but luckily I can run around the adder like that. I could have died there. Like it looks like a really small thing, but absolutely could have died there. I'm just gonna go to a different stair. And more bread. So I don't know what I was worried about. We were not starving. Let's drop that other noise scroll. There's no reason to have that. It's a lot of adders that we're not afraid of. It feels so nice not to be afraid of adders, honestly. Okay, spellcasting to 3. We'll go to maybe 4 and then not do it. Okay, we've got 3 scrolls. That's probably remove curse. 4, okay, it's almost certainly remove curse. If I get teleportation now, it's probably fine. Yeah, it was. So let's check out this Holy Wrath. It's a +1, so it's not that exciting. But maybe if we end up fighting a ghost, which we shouldn't ever be doing, we can use that. There are some rune gloves that we can't wear. Feels bad. Dodging to 4, reach level 5, and we got a bonus int. Hooray! Notice that we have 4 overall strength. Spriggans start off with really low. Oh, check out the stabs. Start off with really low strength, and they don't get any. I don't know why I'm not just hexing him. Because he was very resistant, that's why. Let's just go. Okay, we don't want to die to pain. Okay. What is our chance of that? 51%, so we're just, okay, we're getting unlucky. And I don't think we've seen any other robes. No. Okay. So what I was trying to say is that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to get a Spriggan in heavier armor. 2, okay. So because we're on D4 now, we can find the temple. So I'm going to start reading my scrolls. If you really wanted to get some heavier armor, say you started out as a Spriggan, I don't know, Berserker or something, if you picked strength every level up, you could get some, I guess, but you're never going to get a lot. You're never going to be like a gold dragon armor Spriggan, unless you found some immolation. I'm going to turn that on, my auto pickup, which is backslash. Armor. And no magic mapping. I'm going to forget Corona. The past day one, the most useful thing to do with Corona is to use it to outline invisible creatures, but we have natural see invis, so we don't care at all. A bullfrog skeleton, we cannot ensorcel it, so we'll confuse it. And undead things have really bad MR, so they're really easy to hex. Please no priest. It's a pretty big orc pack. A priest is really bad. Wow, that guy is really bad when you have 24 max HP. There's Nemlex. Nemlex is a fun choice, but we missed. But we're not doing that. And we have 1,000,000 bread. What was I ever worried about? Okay. Don't get hit by an ogre. As a Spriggan, they can one-shot you. Do that. And stab it. We went int again. Pretty much just go int. There's diff. Okay, so we got a D4 diff. Apparently every god is just in the dungeon. I'm calling it. I think this is a corrupted temple. Let's see. And then maybe we can be sad that we're not Jivia. Although a Jivia Spriggan, I don't know. I don't know. It'd be clowny, I guess, but I don't know. Okay, so the thing with diff. Let's see. What does it say? He's the god of shadowed, or he is the shadowed, and desires all to be darkness. So you gain an affinity to shadows. God hates fire. Okay. And he likes it when you kill. He accepts all kills, but he particularly likes it, and you get the most piety when you kill fire monsters. So things like fire dragons, that's obvious, but other things like orc wizards who can have throw fire, throw flame rather, or Sigmund, same thing. You get lots of piety for. As you gain piety, you'll get an umbra around you. See it here. No, it doesn't. It makes you stealthier though, and it also makes it harder for enemies to hit you. You get a couple of abilities. You also, when you get injured, your body will bleed fog. Here at 4 piety, I believe, your shadow will start to mimic your actions, and then finally you can. It's a really good escape. You can transform into shadow form. So Dismanos. A lot of people will say, I've heard this quite a bit, they'll say that on a Spriggan or on a stealthy character, or particularly Spriggans though, that you shouldn't go diff. And the reason given for that is that death helps you with things that you are already good at, and you would be better off choosing a god that helps with your weaknesses. To put it bluntly, I don't understand that at all. So I see absolutely no problem at all in being really good at something. If you're really good at stealth and stabbing, why not be even better at stealth and stabbing? It's kind of like saying don't pick Oka on a Minotaur because Okawara gives you bonuses to your fighting skills, and your fighting skills are one of your main strengths as a Minotaur. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, Death I think is really good for Spriggans, and he's particularly good for enchanters for this thing here. So as we've said a number of times already, your ability to kill things is kind of like, it's not a coin flip, but it's a discrete, is that the word? Digital, again, digital means two options. There's another word I'm looking for, but basically it's like an on-off switch of whether you hex something or you don't. If you hex it, you kill it. If you don't, you can't. So whenever your shadow mimics your hex spells, it gives you 2 for the price of 1. And it's at full strength too. It's not some kind of weaker version. I believe. If it is a weaker version, it's not weaker by much. But I believe it's a full-on actual mimic. So even if it's not, although I think it is, it's still giving you extra chances every time you hex something to get it. So very good. And then also another thing is you're really fast as a Spriggan, but you're really frail. So if you get unlucky, so say something that can smite, say a Titan with airstrike, or you see Gastronok or something, or even just something like a ranged enemy, like a hill giant. If you get unlucky and they just nail you twice from full screen away, you can just die. But the whole bleed smoke when hit really helps you with that, because when something ranged hits you, you get fogged, so then you can run away safely. And also, well, we'll get to this later, but Shadow Form is very good as well in getting the Orb of Zot and in your Ascension. So I like Death. That was a lot of rambling to say that I like this god. Are we going to join it? Yes, we are. And we're not going to change any of our skills for now. Death uses... I can't show it yet because I don't have enough piety. Death uses invocations though for Shadow Form and Shadow Step. Although Shadow Step is low. You're training it for Shadow Form, but there's no hurry to get that. We don't need it for quite a while. So we're going to keep training this same thing, and we'll turn off spellcasting at 4. Yeah. So I guess we'll leave episode 1 there. And yeah, we've just picked our god. We picked Death. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.